Welcome back at the forefront. And now we have someone known for his firm and disciplined enforcement of road regulations. MMDA's Gabriel Go has gained public attention through his viral clearing operations. With a no-nonsense approach, operations have sparked both praise and criticism from motorists and vendors affected by his strict implementation. How does this level of enforcement transform urban discipline and public perception of authority? We have with us the MMDA Head of Special Operations Group, Gabriel Go. Good morning, Chief Gabby.
Good morning po. It's an honor to be here, and I'm so excited also to be here.
Well, we're very excited to have you here. So first, tell us about you from a personal level. How did growing up in Binondo shape your perspective of discipline and order?
Well, Binondo, as we all know, is a very highly developing place in Metro Manila. Although urban planning is quite an issue, especially we know the narrow roads, almost close to none sidewalks. So in my experience and perspective growing up in this kind of place, I can say that I'm very open to the scenario of what is happening not only in Binondo, not only in Manila, but all throughout Metro Manila. So I think it's a very good place wherein my eyes was opened to the reality that it's not just about implementation of the rules of traffic rules and regulations. It has a lot of things to do. You have to jumble a lot of things. You have to jumble with economic advancement, businesses, urban planning. So those are just a few of the stuffs that you have to jumble when it comes to improvements and traffic rules and
So
regulations.
you understand na yung mga, for example, sidewalk vendors, talagang kailangan din sila from an economic perspective or sila mismo, nangangailangan talaga sila na magbenta?
Well, of course. Lagi namin sinasabi, no, hindi masamang maghanap buhay. Everyone needs to make a living. Everyone has to do something para mayroong pagkain, maiuwi sa kanilang mga pamilya. But then again, at the end of the day, we have to ask ourselves, is the business that we are doing, meron bang nakakahambalang? Are we causing any inconvenience? Are there any rules and regulations that we are breaking? But yes, I have to agree, no? Vendors or yung mga naghahanap buhay, hindi naman natin pwedeng totally to eliminate them. We go anywhere in Asia, there are vendors on the streets. But what sets them apart? There is rules and regulations that are being followed. There are certain measures being regulated by the government.
And let's go back to your upbringing. You grew up in Binondo. Ikaw ba, are there stereotypes about Chinoys that you notice and that you feel that you have to break?
Well, I've been hearing things, no? Sinasabi nga nila, you're a Chinoy. What are you doing in government? But ang perspective ko lang naman dito is there anything wrong? I am a citizen of this country. I was born and raised here. I was educated here. So, I am a Filipino, di ba? And what is wrong with different cultural background or even heritage serving in government? So, I think that's one stereotype or one issue that we have to break because there are a lot of Chinoys who are in government. Yeah. Not only me in public service, but there are a lot of people or a lot of Chinoys who are in public service nowadays.
Well, I suppose when they say that, is the criticism coming from fellow Chinoys also who, maybe their perception of government is that a lot of people will say that from private sector, oh, it's inefficient, it's corrupt, so bakit ka nandyan? Because even for me coming from private sector, when I served in government, I was asked that question, bakit ka pumayag na mag-government? Baka ganun naman yung context.
Marami tayong narinig na ganun, no? What are you doing in public service? You've been in the private sector for how many years? I took up consular and diplomatic affairs. So it's a totally long way out of my supposedly career path. But then again, no, let's ask ourselves this. If we are given a chance, if we are given the opportunity to serve in public, to help people at least in our own little ways, what's stopping us? Diba? I mean, we can be from a different cultural heritage, we can be from different backgrounds, we could be a businessman or even, let's say, a different profession. But if given the chance, why not? I mean,
so now you're there.
Yes.
But Chinoys are also known to be very hardworking, like from the Chinese culture. Kaya sila yung kilalang magaling sa business. How do you bring in that part of your heritage to be effective in government?
Siguro one thing that we can be something that stands out in the crowd. Ang mga Chinoys kasi are not only very passionate, but also we have this close family orientation ties. That's why kung mapapansin mo, how I run things, especially in my unit, in the Special Operations Group, I don't treat them just as personnels or traffic enforcers. I treat them as a small family in this government sector in which we are partaking our service to the people. So, isa yan sa tingin kong pinakamagandang characteristics is in order for people or our men to be efficient, you have to treat them deeper, hindi lang as tauhan mo. Di ba?
Oo. And kanina you mentioned that when it comes to enforcing rules, you have to juggle so many things, including economic considerations, but also the rules themselves. So how do you respond to people who say that MMDA's clearing operations are too harsh or even heartless?
Well, one quote that I can borrow, the law is harsh, but it is the law.
Yeah.
Diba? But then again, at the end of the day,
Dura lex sed lex. That's
correct.
a principle talaga.
Principle.
Even when I was a law student, umpisa pa lang.
Yes.
Natutunan na namin yung Latin phrase for
true.
that. Yeah.
But then again, ito ang tingnan natin. If there are no laws to follow, then we'll be in a lawlessness state, di ba? Paano ang organizations, paano ang mga pag-aayos natin sa kalsada? Ito na lang, the mere fact that a lot of people are asking for pagbabago. Gusto ng pagbabago sa kalsada, napaka-traffic, walang malakaran. But then again, you are very hesitant or even complacent to the point na ayaw natin sumunod sa mga simple traffic rules and regulations. And the most basic, ang bangketa ay para sa tao. So, the law may be harsh, but yung nag-i-implement, tao may puso pa rin. So, there are considerations that can be given, but not to the extent that is being abused.
Are there other laws that you think need to be revised or changed in order to be less harsh, in your observation? Kasi as from the enforcement side, I completely understand. Kung ano yung law, you just have to enforce it because it's not your job to legislate. In your observation so far, meron bang mga kailangang baguhin na dahil sa experience mo na, masyadong harsh to? Or
If we're gonna think of it, yung mga batas na pinapatupad natin, like for example, yung mga towing, illegal parking violations, are already very considerate, to be honest. You go to other countries, illegal parking will cost you tens or 20,000 of pesos if you convert it.
At ang bilis.
Diba?
Like, iwanan mo lang, 5 minutes, meron ka na ticket and talagang...
Pag may violation ka ng illegal parking, let's put it in European countries, it will cost you 25,000 pesos to 30,000 pesos when converted. Dito sa atin, magkano lang? Pag may lisensya at attended ito, 1,000 pesos. Pag walang lisensya, unattended, 2,000 pesos. So, if we're going to put it into context, our law is very comprehensive. Makatao ang batas natin. It's just that masyado tayo naging lenient in the implementation. And on the other hand, hindi lang lenient on the implementation, but also the lack of information and re-education sa mga tao.
Why is it important for you to record and share your videos of your clearing operations?
Okay. I've been hearing issues na sinasabi, you post it on social media just for popularity-wise. No. Yung iba naman sinasabi, baka minomonetize mo ang pinopost mo. If you want to check my TikTok account, it's not even being monetized. The purpose of why we are sharing our operations, we are sharing our day-to-day activities, is for the mere re-education of the people. And nakakatuwa. Kasi I personally read the comments. It's just that some messages are, well, hindi naman some, but too many messages already na I cannot read all of them. But nakakatuwa yung comments. Sir, nakakatuwa kasi ang dami namin natututunan. So, people are using this channel, using the social media platform to re-educate themselves. And nakakatuwa rin, we meet people on the road, tatawagin kami, Sir, good job. Ngayon, alam na namin, bawal pala pumarada sa gantong areas. Or, Sir, kailangan pala, there's certain provisions of 1.5 meters for a sidewalk. Ito pa nakakatuwa. Some people texted me, messaged me on social media, Sir, nag-umpisa na po kami ayusin yung garahe namin kasi lumagpas pala kami. So, it's beginning to be a platform not just for showcasing our activities, but we are slowly educating people.
So in your experience, a lot of people who violate regulations on where to park or where to situate themselves when they're selling, it's really a lack of education pala. Marami sa kanila hindi lang aware na bawal pala to.
True. Lack of education plus information dissemination. Why? A lot of violators will tell us, Sir, wala naman po kasi nagsabi. Binigyan kami ng business permit, pinayagan kami magbenta. That's it. Pero if you read the provisions of the permit, andoon ang guidelines na nakalagay.
Pero yan yung mga fine print eh. Minsan pag binigyan ka permit, basta nakalagay doon, you're allowed to operate.
True.
Hindi mo nababasahin yung fine
True.
print.
That's why, alam mo, one thing that we have to consider also, no, once na there is a authority, or let's say a provision, or let's say a permit that is given to certain aspects, like for example, parking, vending, we have to tell these people or ang ating mga kababayan what are the provisions in it. Kasi, sad to say, some meron hindi nakakaintindi ng English. Some hindi nakakaintindi ng Tagalog. Diba? There are certain aspects that we have to consider. That's why it's very important for us to disseminate the information properly, constant reminder, and we have to educate them. Yun ang 3 key points that we are looking, or personally that I've seen on the road, na kulang tayo.
Have you ever received death threats because of your work? Because like the trending ka, so I'm sure it goes both ways. A lot of people praise you, maraming natutuwa sa ginagawa mo, pero baka naman yung iba rin nagagalit. So, meron bang umaabot sa point na may death threat ka?
Alam mo, in this kind of job, threats are eminent. Marami tayong mga, well, alam mo, nakakatuwa rin naman kasi, no, a lot of people are slowly beginning to embrace yung ginagawa natin. But then again, at the end of the day, we cannot please everyone. So if you're gonna talk about death threat, saan nyo ba gustong pagpilian? Personal message or comments?
So meron talaga?
Meron yan.
But you're saying it with a smile, kaya kakatawa ka. But so talagang good that you're ready to take on everything about the job,
You know,
the good and the bad.
What is funny about these death threats, no? They are using dummy accounts. So, something that, lagi ko rin sinasabi, if you're going to threaten someone, you're not gonna say it out loud. Diba? So, these are probably keyboard warriors, or probably sinasabi nga ng iba, baka sir, nahuli nyo na to eh. Diba? So, it's not that I don't take this threat seriously. I do take precautions, but then again, at the end of the day, no, alam naman natin yung trabaho natin is for the better and for the best. Or I mean, for the good man lang. Diba? So, it's just, sometimes you just have to wake up in the morning and just shrug it off and do what you have to do.
And you focus on your job kahit na
Yes.
may mga ganyan na, and mga difficult na parts of your job that you just have to accept.
It's part of the job.
Oo. Ano yung pinakamahirap na clearing operations that you had to undertake?
Probably the hardest clearing operation would be sidewalk vendors. Kasi iintindihin mo lagi, no, yung status in life. Ay sabi nga nila, we will not resort to vending on the street or on the sidewalk kung kami ay may kakayanan magrenta. Di ba? These people are, kumbaga, isang kayod, isang tuka eh. They have to earn a living, they have to sell something every day just to buy themselves a kilo of rice. Diba? A kilo of bigas. Or even ilang grams ng meat, diba? To bring home to their families. But then again, sinasabi nga namin hindi masama maghanap buhay. It's just that you cannot hamper yung safe passage, especially ng mga pedestrians. So that's something na we tackle every day na medyo, syempre, there are certain times na emotional ang mga tao, iiyakan ka, magpapaliwanag na ito lang po ang hanap buhay namin. Or even the most recent, nagbenta po kami sa bangketa kasi nasa ospital po certain family member. So that's something na mahirap.
Kaya mahirap
intindihin
pala
din.
siya, hindi operationally or logistically, but yung emotional side of it.
Yes.
Ikaw mismo, naawa ka?
Totoo. Alam mo, totoo. Naawa pa ako sa mga taong yan. No? I mean, sometimes, minsan makakita ako, someone is selling, ano lang, yung mga abubot lang, di ba? Tapos you have to clear them kasi hinarangan na yung entire bangketa or the entire sidewalk. So, o kung hindi naman, mga perishable goods, mga pagkain. Minsan nga sinasabi ko, sige na, umalis ka na lang. Ano ba yung binibenta mo? Eh sir, ganito na lang po. Ako na bibili. Umuwi ka na.
But in your rules ba, pagka-clearing, kailangan nyo i-confiscate yung binibenta?
Case to case. But if you've seen in the past years, no, ang clearing operation, especially mga illegal obstruction, mga nasa sidewalk, whatever is seen on the sidewalk, it's considered nuisance or it's considered obstruction. So, kino-confiscate lahat yan. But right now, what we are trying to do is to alter the approach a little bit, no? First time, first warning, tatanggalin namin yung lamesa. I'll leave the, yung mga paninda. Bakit ko iniiwan? Tandaan natin, may puhunan. And hate to accept it, but karamihan ng ating mga kababayan, para makakuha ng puhunan na yan, inuutang pa yan minsan. Di ba? So, you are already giving them the extra burden of confiscating kung ano man nandoon or even not allowing them to sell on their area. Kukunin mo pa yung paninda. So, parang doble, triple burden
So,
na
this is
yan
part of the consideration that you say when it comes to
Yes.
enforcement na sa totoo lang, pwede nyo pa nga i-confiscate
Yes.
lahat ng tinitinda nila, but out of consideration,
As much as
Inaan nyo na
possible,
lang. Oo.
ayoko mangumpis ka ng paninda. That's why there's first warning, second warning. But on the third warning, if it's way too much already, I have no choice.
pagpabalik-balik.
Pabalik-balik.
Yeah.
But in fairness, no, seldom do I encounter people na umaabot ng third time na to the point na kailangan kunin ko na kung ano man yung tinitinda. It's very seldom.
And sa mga Pinoy, Chief Gabby, ang sabi nila, kulang sa disiplina. Marami daw tayong magandang batas, pero enforcement is the problem because kulang naman daw sa disiplina kasi karamihan ng mga Pinoy. What is your comment on that? Do you believe that? And do you think that Filipinos can be better disciplined? They will learn to be more disciplined.
Alam mo, ako, naniniwala ko, anyone, even especially Filipinos, we are very well-versed, maganda ang ating cultural background, traditions. It's just that, yun nga sinasabi ko. The problem does not only rely on the government itself or in the implementation. There is the lack of information dissemination and the education. Diba? Alam naman natin, maraming iba't ibang katayuan sa buhay. But then again, the law applies to everyone. Hindi naman pwedeng ang batas is selective for, let's say, for the middle class only or for the upper class only. Hindi naman po pwedeng ganun eh. Isa ang batas, isa ang provision, it applies to everyone. It's just that on the ground, it is up to the implementer of the law to explain it to them. Kasi once ang mga Pilipino, alam mo ang mga Pilipino, tayong mga Pilipino, no, we're very, kumbaga, idealistic. Di ba? Mahilig tayong, if we need something, gagawa tayo ng paraan. Kailangan natin maghanap buhay, gagawa tayo ng paraan. Di ba?
So resourceful din.
Very resourceful tayo eh. So it's just that we need to guide these people, educate them, tell them what is right, what is wrong, inform them every now and then. We have to be consistent.
Yeah. And I think consistent in application as well because kulang na tayo sa time, but the bus lane in EDSA has been used by people who are not supposed to use it, and in the past, meron mga naging controversial na people in high places, high positions have been using it also not in accordance with the rules. So I at least admire MMDA for being consistent in applying.
Well, in general naman, no, anywhere we go, whether there is a enforcer, may nagbabantay man o wala, if there is a law, we have to follow it. That's why yan ang batas, di ba? I hope in the near future, sooner or later, traffic signs will be enough. Traffic signage will be enough to implement or even to serve as a warning to people. So I hope na magkaroon tayo nung not only just discipline, but self-discipline to implicate kung ano man yung mga dapat nating sundin.
Thank you so much, Chief Gabby, and such a pleasure to have you here today.
Likewise, it's an honor once again.